Greetings and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the art of assertive communication with narcissists. My name is Dr. Nana Gyesie, your transformational coach and shamanic leadership guide here at Inner Mileage, and glad to be here with you. So it's important to clarify that in the presence of narcissistic energy, silence can become a betrayal of the soul if not used with wisdom. But speech, when unrefined, can ignite the fire of entanglement because narcissists thrive in this. And I just want to say that this video is for those who are courageous and ready to escape narcissistic abuse. It's for the empath who's been silenced by manipulation, exhausted by gaslighting, and drained by endless cycles of performative connection. And if you've ever walked away from a conversation unsure of what just happened, this is for you. Assertive communication is not just about speaking up, it's a spiritual discipline. In fact, a quantum maneuver and an act of energetic warriorship. And when facing a narcissist, your words must not only inform, they must transform. Not only inform, but they must transform the energetic field. So, to ground us, let's get into how conversations with narcissists can be traps. You see, narcissistic interactions hijack your limbic system, especially the amygdala, which is the part of your brain that processes threats and fears. And that hyperactivity of the amygdala leads to the shutdown or suppression of the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of logic, strategy, reasoning, and so forth. In fact, research shows that trauma responses are autonomic. In other words, your nervous system interprets tone, posture, and gaze. Therefore, a narcissist's smirk or sarcasm can unconsciously register as a predatory cue. Do you see? And in narcissistic conversations, your system doesn't prepare to respond, it prepares to survive, which is unique. This is why your words stumble, this is why your logic may evaporate, and later you replay the whole thing wondering, why didn't I say that? Or why did I say that? You see? So what's the assertive strategy here is to just be focused. You can try the Fibonacci breath, which is intentional breathing. Inhale 1, count, pause 1, and exhale. So something like this. And as you do this over and over again, it mirrors the golden ratio, and then it trains your body to come into harmonic equilibrium before entering any energetic battle. But it's important to talk about the voice as a tool of spell. So how the voice enables spell casting from an esoteric perspective. Because the voice, your voice, my voice, is not just a vibration. It is volition wrapped in frequency. In other words, or for example, in the Kabbalah, the Hebrew word davar, means both word and thing. So to speak is to bring something into being, you see? And in some traditions on the continent of Africa, then the normal principle teaches that the universe is spoken into existence by divine utterance. So when a narcissist provokes you, they are attempting to rescript your field through distortion, spell casting. And every reply you offer them becomes a spell, either empowering you or entangling you and meshing you with them. So this is why it's important to begin your day, for example, by declaring, for example, no one speaks for me. My voice is sovereign. My word is law. And before any conversation, you make sure you seal yourself because you don't need louder words. You just need cleaner energy behind your words. So this brings us into the physics of boundaries, right? And here I like to talk about spiritual physics or sacred physics as it goes. According to the first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed, transmuted. And therefore, in narcissistic relationships, this plays out like this. You express a need, the narcissist redirects, invalidates, or if you're unfortunate, attacks you. Then you explain, justify, over explain. And when you do that, guess what happens? You lose energy. And each reply you offer becomes a conduit through which energy flows. In other words, your assertiveness must not seek validation. It must be a containment of energy, not an invitation for debate with the narcissist. So it's kind of like saying, I'm not trying to fight, I just want to understand, right? That's an invitation for more enmeshment. You may say something like, I don't need to agree, I am stating this for the record of truth. That's assertive communication. And by doing this, you have conserved energy, reinforced reality, and closed the circuit. And this is especially useful for you if you haven't totally escaped narcissistic abuse, for example, or if distancing yourself and cutting off the narcissist is not an option because they're a sibling or your boss, for example, and you're in the process. You see, it's important to realize that the narcissist is not looking for resolution in the conversation. What they're looking for is energetic access to do damage in their own way. This is what they do, right? So we know that the narcissist operates in a very, very predictable pattern, right? What they do is simply to idealize you or love bomb you. Then they start to devalue you on purpose so you become dependent on the love bombing. Then they discard you, and then when they discard you and they feel like they've lost access to you, or you discard them, they hoover. And then the cycle repeats itself. A hoover is sort of a reverse love bombing. This is a very chaotic attractor loop. And it's similar to sort of fractals and chaos theory, very self-repeating distortions. So if you use emotional language to respond, you're feeding the loop. You're stuck. If you use detached logic, you're fueling their game. And the whole idea is to realize that your assertiveness becomes disruptive. Because mathematically, when you are assertive, you become the nonlinear variable that alters the fractal, right? So, for example, if the narcissist says something to you like, oh, you're too sensitive or something like that, you could say something like, this statement violates my boundaries, I'm ending this now. As an example, right? And when you do this, it introduces a non-reactive assertive constant and it jumps the loop. And you break the spell by becoming the unavailable equation. So it's like playing chess, not checkers. So there are many ways a narcissist will try to break your boundaries or breach your boundaries. And you always want to be in the mode of saying, I'm not available for this type of energy, right? You may say something, if you disagree with, that's your interpretation, not my truth, see? I speak for myself, not to be liked. You see, these are very boundary-setting words. These are powerful, positive spells. I choose spell even if you choose power games. This is over. No, and the most potent word you could use is no. Nein, niet, debi, dabi, Whatever way you say no, it means the same thing. Now, I want to borrow from the Buddhist cosmology for a bit, because in Buddhism, there's this notion of right speech. Right speech being one of the Eightfold Noble Path. And wise speech includes abstaining from false speech, abstaining from harsh speech, and speaking only what is true, right? This is what the Buddha said in this cosmology. So when you speak assertively to a narcissist, you want to be clear that you're not harming and know that you're not harming. You want to be clear that you're not reacting and know that you're not reacting, you're responding. And you want to be clear that you're not realigning karma, you're freeing your lineage, yourself from that timeline. And every assertive word, particularly as you're trying to escape or in the process of escaping, is a ritual of liberation for you, for the ancestors before you who tried to escape their own abuse and couldn't, and for the future version of yourself, which is based on what you do today in the present, you see. So assertiveness is not an interpersonal tool, it's how you win. And if this resonates with you and I can be of help, type transform in the comment section or send me a message, or join in my upcoming masterclass which is focused on escaping narcissistic abuse. Know there's no one like you. Keep ascending. Peace.